Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, our mission is to unpack a really comprehensive global news bulletin. It's from July 6, 2025. We've sifted through a whole stack of detailed reports and, well, our goal is simple. Extract the most important nuggets of knowledge, surprising insights, and deliver them straight to you.
Exactly. And this deep dive, it's more than just headlines, isn't it? We're going to, connect the dots between events that might seem totally separate at first glance. We want to give you that crucial context on why these stories actually matter, and maybe more importantly, how they could directly affect your world.
Okay, let's dive in then. A global snapshot from July 6, 2025. We'll start right here in North America. It's really a continent of contrasts right now. Challenges, opportunities. It's all there. Let's begin with Canada. Housing affordability, it's just dominating the national conversation. We're expecting the federal government to announce a new affordable housing stimulus package, something like $2.5 billion later this week. But, this comes amid pretty strong criticism from municipalities. They're dealing with rents and home prices just skyrocketing. The big question is, will this package really be enough to, move the needle?
That is the critical question, yeah. $2.5 billion, it offers some immediate help, sure. But a lot of economists are saying, look, this is more of a stopgap. It doesn't really tackle the deeper structural issues. You just have to look at places like Vancouver. Average condo price, it's now crossed $900,000.
Astonishing. $900,000.
Right. And that's not just a number. It's a symptom. Chronic supply problems, land use policies. They're just not keeping up. And the result, more and more people pushed into a rental market that's already incredibly competitive.
That really does paint a stark picture. And while the economy grabs headlines, there's this other constant force shaping lives, the environment. Over in British Columbia, wildfire crews are on high alert. Over 30 active fires burning across the interior right now. And we're already seeing worsening air quality in the Okanagan, the Caribou regions. Smoke is apparently drifting towards Metro Vancouver even now. It's a constant reminder of, climate change impacts.
It really is. And it's such a fascinating contrast when you look just next door, east to Alberta. Alberta's really riding high on energy profits at the moment. Oil prices are hovering near $92 a barrel.
$92. Quite the boom.
Definitely. And this buoyancy, it's actually fueling diversification, too.
Yeah.
Take Calgary's tech sector. It's booming. Over 40 new AI startups registered in just the first half of 2025. 40.
Wow, AI startups. So leveraging that energy expertise.
Kind of, yeah. Leveraging existing engineering talent, positioning Alberta as, a key player in North America's AI scene. It's a strategic pivot.
Interesting. A resource boom fueling a tech boom. What about further east?
Well, over in Edmonton, they're actually preparing for another wave of Ukrainian refugees. They're expanding settlement services, which really highlights Canada's ongoing humanitarian commitment, even while its own cities face growth pressures.
Right. Okay. Moving across to Saskatchewan. Farmers there are facing a really tough, unpredictable growing season. They had heavy rains back in June, then bam, extreme heat damaged a lot of the early seeded crops. The province has even had to launch a new emergency compensation scheme, specifically for wheat and lentil producers. Shows how immediate these climate impacts are.
And this really brings up that important question, doesn't it? How do regions adapt beyond just the immediate crisis? Look at Regina, for example. Schools there are about to pilot a new tech-integrated curriculum. We're talking coding, robotics, right from grade 5. It shows that proactive, forward-looking approach to education, preparing kids for a very different economy.
Okay, and rounding out Canada, let's look at Ontario, the most populous province, still under a severe heat advisory. Toronto, Ottawa, recording temperatures over 35 Celsius for the 5th straight day. Hospitals are seeing a definite spike in heat stroke dehydration cases. Premier Doug Ford has promised more cooling centers, utility subsidies for seniors, low-income households. But the sheer length of this heat wave is worrying.
Yeah, it really is. And what's also notable in Ontario, their universities, they're bracing for a record-breaking international student intake this fall. This isn't just a small increase, it's a significant surge, fueled by recently loosened visa policies. It'll bring economic benefits, of course, but it also puts more pressure on local infrastructure, including that housing market we just talked about.
Everything's connected. Okay, let's transition south now to the United States. Politically, the presidential campaign is certainly ramping up. Major rallies this week in Florida, Pennsylvania, Michigan, really setting the stage.
Yeah, the political temperature is rising. But beneath that, the economy is still a huge concern for many Americans. Okay, inflation has eased a bit, down to 3.2%. But those high interest rates, they continue to strain mortgage borrowers, small businesses. So for you listening, it means the cost of borrowing for, say, a home or a small business loan, it just remains stubbornly high, really impacts financial decisions.
And on the weather front, there's a serious threat brewing. A tropical storm down in the Gulf of Mexico. It's expected to make landfall in Louisiana by midweek. Could bring significant flooding to coastal areas that are already pretty vulnerable.
And here's where geopolitics and tech collide again. The U.S. just introduced new restrictions on Chinese AI chip imports.
AI chips again. What kind specifically?
These are the high-end ones, GPUs mostly, the kind you need for training really advanced AI models. This isn't just about trade tariffs, it's a strategic move designed to slow China's tech progress in a really foundational area. It sends ripples through global tech supply chains, forces companies everywhere to rethink their R&D.
Okay, so zooming out again to North America as a whole, it's just striking how these issues cross borders, isn't it?
Absolutely. That wildfire smoke from Canada, it's still affecting air quality down in U.S. cities like Chicago, Detroit, even New York. It's a tangible, physical example of a cross-border environmental impact. Pollution doesn't respect lines on a map.
And on the trade front, too. Canada, the U.S., Mexico, they're moving forward with new trilateral talks, specifically focused on EV battery manufacturing this time.
Right, with a very clear emphasis on reducing dependence on Chinese supply chains. It's not just economic cooperation, it's a strategic realignment, building regional resilience, securing critical tech.
It really does highlight how these regional challenges, these efforts, they're all deeply interconnected across borders, climate, economy, strategy. Okay, let's shift our focus now over to Asia. A continent just buzzing with this complex mix of climate challenges, economic shifts, geopolitical stuff. Let's start in India. The monsoon. It's reached about 85% of the country now. Good news for some regions, bringing relief, but unfortunately, real destruction in others. We're seeing floods in Gujarat, Maharashtra, displacing over 20,000 people. Meanwhile, Delhi and northern India are still baking under this intense heat wave. In Punjab specifically, they're facing kind of dual challenges. On one side, localized flooding Patiala, Ludhiana due to overflowing drains. On the other, farmers are demanding government procurement guarantees for key crops like basmati, moong.
Yeah, a double whammy there.
Right. The state government's responding, sending disaster relief, allocating about 250 crore rupees for emergency infrastructure repairs.
Yeah.
And sort of related to public order, the anti-drug campaign there has really intensified. Over 300 arrests recently.
And this pattern, extreme weather hitting infrastructure, we see it elsewhere too. Look at Haryana. Gurugram, once again, crippled by torrential rains, traffic chaos, flooded commercial zones. It's pushed the state government to start reviewing municipal accountability, drainage funding. That's a critical investment for urban resilience, especially with changing climate patterns.
So dealing with the immediate infrastructure problems, but also looking ahead a bit.
Precisely. And on that forward-looking note for Haryana, new government schools in rural areas, they're getting equipped with AI-powered smartboards, digital libraries. That's a big push towards, bridging the digital divide, modernizing education outside the main cities.
Okay, down in New Delhi, the water crisis is getting significantly worse. The Yamuna River supply to the capital has fallen drastically. The Delhi Jal Board is running water tankers pretty much around the clock. Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal has called for an emergency session just to discuss heat mitigation, as temperatures are stuck above 44 Celsius. The city's really grappling.
It's an immense strain.
And finally, up in Chandigarh, a bit of a different focus. The UT administration is concentrating on green urbanism, installing 10 new vertical gardens along major roads. It's an interesting approach, trying to cool and beautify the city at the same time.
Yeah, innovative urban greening. And what's also intriguing there is how tech is reshaping healthcare. PGImer and Chandigarh announced a new research collaboration. They're working with global biotech firms to develop AI tools for early cancer detection.
That could be huge.
Potentially transformative for public health, yeah. But on a different note, highlighting regional complexities, there's an interstate water dispute. Between Chandigarh, Punjab, and Haryana, it's actually escalated up to the Home Ministry now for a final resolution. These resource issues persist.
Okay, moving west to Pakistan, still suffering under this relentless heat waves. Karachi, Hyderabad, interiors they're experiencing what officials call extreme danger conditions. Hospitals reporting hundreds, literally hundreds, of heat stroke cases daily, really stretching their healthcare systems thin.
And this public health crisis is happening alongside huge economic pressures. The IMF just released the first tranche of that $6 billion loan package to Pakistan.
Right, the loan package.
Yeah, but it's not just free money. It's a critical lifeline, really signals severe economic distress. And the funds come with strings attached, painful, but probably necessary. Reforms to things like electricity pricing, tax collection, and conditions like these, they often spark public unrest, don't they?
Absolutely.
Especially with high political tensions already brewing ahead of expected elections later this year. PTI supporters are already out staging rallies demanding early polls.
Okay, turning now to China. Their economic recovery, well, it seems to be stalling a bit. New data just came out showing only 4.4% GDP growth last quarter. That's well below what analysts expected. It raises questions about global economic momentum, too.
Right. And in response, the government immediately announced a massive stimulus package. Over 2 trillion yuan. That's huge. Targeting infrastructure, green energy, rural development. It's a clear signal they're determined to counter this slowdown, re-energize key sectors.
And on the geopolitical front, those Chinese Navy exercises near Taiwan, they've certainly caught international attention, definitely raising concerns about regional stability.
Indeed, they have. Japan, the U.S., South Korea, they've all issued joint statements urging restraint. That collective response really underscores the delicate power balance in the Indo-Pacific and how invested the international community is in keeping things stable there.
Okay, bringing it back to broader Asian regional trends for a moment. Some interesting developments on the tech front, you were saying.
Yeah, ASEAN leaders just wrapped up their digital summit in Jakarta. Some key takeaways. Plans for a unified regional cybersecurity framework, common rules for AI governance, standards for cross-border data sharing. It signals a real concerted effort towards deeper digital integration, a shared approach to these emerging technologies. That's significant for future growth across Southeast Asia.
And unfortunately, another major weather event has hit the region hard. Typhoon Barijat. It's battered southern Japan and Taiwan, displaced over 50,000 people, shut down transport networks, just another powerful reminder of vulnerability.
Absolutely. And one last thing for Asia, potentially a really significant trade development. India, the UAE, and Saudi Arabia. They're in the final stages of talks for a new transoceanic shipping corridor.
A new corridor. Where would that run?
Linking the Arabian Gulf directly to Western India and then onwards potentially to Southeast Asia. This isn't just a new route on the map. People are calling it a potential game changer for regional and maybe even global trade. Could shift supply chains, boost economic ties significantly. It really shows how technology, infrastructure, strategic partnerships, they're all combining to reshape Asia's future.
Fascinating stuff. Okay, let's wrap up our regional overview down in Oceania. Australia and New Zealand. Starting with Australia, the East Coast is recovering from a pretty powerful winter storm, left thousands without power. Floodwaters are starting to recede now in parts of New South Wales, but the damage assessments are still ongoing. It seems like these climate events are just everywhere.
They really are, hitting every corner. And in response to some economic needs, the Australian government is fast-tracking its immigration reform. They're specifically focusing on attracting skilled workers, healthcare, IT, education sectors. It's a strategic move to tackle labor shortages, bolster key industries.
Right. But at the same time, there's that controversial debate happening in their parliament, isn't there, about a bill to actually cap international student numbers. Universities are warning that could hurt the economy long term. It's a big revenue stream, a source of skilled workers.
It's a definite tension point there, balancing different priorities.
Okay, over to New Zealand. They're facing their coldest winter in over a decade. Snow blanketing much of the South Island.
Yeah, quite the cold snap. But despite that, their tourism sector is actually booming. Queenstown, Rotorua reporting their highest winter bookings since before COVID. It really shows the resilience of that industry.
Good news for them.
And environmentally, Prime Minister Chris Hipkins just announced a new green energy package, aiming for a very ambitious 95% renewable electricity by 2030. It's a strong commitment. And it raises that crucial question again, doesn't it? How do nations like these really balance economic growth with these big environmental goals?
A key question indeed.
So if we try to, connect all this, draw the threads together from this global snapshot, a few big themes really jump out. First, just the sheer prevalence of climate extremes. It's undeniable. We've seen heat waves, floods, wildfires, tropical storms, severe cold, across every single region we talked about. It shows this is a shared global challenge. It doesn't care about borders, needs urgent, coordinated responses.
Yeah, impossible to ignore. And it wasn't just climate, was it? We saw consistent economic pressures everywhere, too.
Exactly. Common concerns like inflation, housing affordability, they popped up again and again. But also, really diverse government strategies trying to deal with it. China's huge stimulus, the IMF loans in Pakistan, Canada's housing package. Every region is grappling with how to manage growth, stability in what's clearly a volatile global economy.
And technology.
Right.
You called it a double-edged sword earlier.
I think it really is. It's driving incredible growth. Those AI startups in Calgary, the smartboards in Haryana, biotech in Chandigarh, fantastic stuff. But then it's also creating new tensions. Those US-China AI chip restrictions are a prime example. And it's forcing new kinds of governance, like what ASEAN is trying to do with cybersecurity and AI rules.
So a force for progress, but also creating new complexities.
Makes sense. Precisely. And fourth, those geopolitical shifts and sort of emerging trade patterns. We saw new trade corridors being discussed, like that India, UAE, Saudi Arabia one. We saw existing alliances adapting, like the North American EV battery talks. And we saw ongoing regional tensions, like the China-Taiwan exercises and the international reactions. These are all reshaping future alliances, future supply chains.
Right.
And finally, maybe underlying it all, that recurring theme of humanitarian and social resilience. We talked about refugee support in Edmonton, public health crises from extreme heat in Ontario and Pakistan, the challenges people face from climate events or just urban pressures. It's that reminder of the human element right at the heart of all these big global forces.
It's truly incredible. These aren't just isolated news items, are they? They're all part of this complex, deeply interconnected global landscape, affecting us all in so many ways. What an amazing breadth of insights we've managed to cover, just from looking at one day's global news, July 6, 2025, this deep dive.
Yeah.
It really hammers home how connected our world is.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? I mean, considering all these interconnected global events we've just discussed, the escalating climate crises, these profound economic shifts, the intricate geopolitical realignments, here's a thought for you to mull over. What single issue, if it's not addressed effectively and on a truly global scale, do you think poses the most significant long-term risk to humanity's well-being?
That is a powerful thought. A crucial question for all of us, really. We hope this deep dive has helped you reflect on how these events, which can seem so separate, are actually deeply intertwined, and hopefully it encourages you to keep exploring those fascinating connections in the world around you.